The Instigators is a new film on Apple TV Plus directed by Doug Liman that stars Casey Afflick and Matt Damon as two men brought into an elaborate heist plot that goes wrong and who are forced to go on the run together as multiple different agencies are hot on their heels to capture them. Now, the plot synopsis might seem formulaic as I'm reading it out. In fact, I was one of the people that went into this and I'm like, okay, I think I've seen that movie multiple times before, in fact. But surprisingly, this pulls it off in a way that feels fresh and unique and original. I did not expect that. I expected this to be pretty formulaic. I'm not a huge fan of Doug Liman's films. I think that he has some hits with the Bourne series, but I thought Roadhouse, that actually released this past year, was kind of okay. And I didn't really expect anything much going into this, but I was pleasantly surprised because it takes the formulaic plot structure that you've seen many different times over in multiple different films and turns into something that's funny and fun and invigorating, and it makes for a really unique cinematic experience. It's definitely miles better than Roadhouse. I would say that, if there was an award for best Doug Liman film in a given year, it would go to this one over Roadhouse. I would say definitely this is a film that really shows his strengths as a director from a visionary standpoint and also a thematic standpoint. I think it really balances what he tries to do with his films so well. Now, I'm a huge fan of both Matt Damon and Casey Affleck. As I've said many different times before in the past, Ocean's 11 is one of my favorite films of all time. So seeing them back on the big screen together in a film that really shows their strengths as a comedic and dramatic actor, it's really fun. Their on-screen chemistry is just so unmatched. Their comedic timing, particularly Casey Affleck. Casey Affleck is hilarious in this movie. He really has moments to shine comedically, really doesn't play up Matt Damon, but they really both balance each other out in terms of comedic capability. They both have moments to shine, no one's outpowering the other, and it really just works as a blended buddy comedy. The writing is also so sharp in terms of the comedic capability of this film. Every joke just hits so incredibly well, especially Casey Affleck's. I can't stop talking about how Casey Affleck is the funniest character in this movie. You'll just have to see it to believe it. The movie grabs you right off the bat and doesn't let go. The opening sequence alone is going to hook many different viewers, and the first 30 minutes are just so much fun. It really kind of wastes no time whatsoever really investing you into the plot, and it takes off from the starting line like you wouldn't believe. It shoots off from 0 to 60 faster than you would expect from a film like this. And that's due in part to Liman's kinetic and expertly done direction here. I've never really understood his flashy style until now, because here, this is the most nuanced thing he has done in his filmography in a long time. Roadhouse I had issues with because it was too flashy in terms of cinematography, editing. It really felt over stylized. Here, he's saving that for the good bits, which is the action, because the action here is complemented so well by cinematography and direction. It really makes for a unique viewing experience that really is kinetic when it needs to be, but also slower paced and more normal when it needs to be. I won't lie and say this is a non-stop ride. The energy definitely ebbs and flows, and there are definitely moments here that are slower in comparison to some of the more ramped up action sequences throughout. That said, it's worth getting through those scenes to get to the overall action, and the pacing overall might be slower, but the plot never drags. You're always consistently engaged throughout the entire runtime of the film. The supporting cast here is just so talented. Hong Chow is incredible in a smaller role. Ron Perlman and Toby Jones are funny. Paul Walter Hauser is so charismatic in his small role. Alfred Molina is a delight to see, and Ving Rhames shows up in a role that I wasn't expecting him to appear in, but it was absolutely phenomenal. He did a fantastic job with it, and is definitely one of the highlights of the film in terms of the cast. It honestly doesn't even feel like a streaming quality movie. This feels like a movie that actually would have released in theaters and done surprisingly well as word of mouth spreads. I know it got thrown onto Apple TV Plus with little to no fanfare, which kind of sucks because this film really deserves to be seen. It's by far so much more fun than it has any right to be, and I honestly wish it would have been released in theaters because it definitely is theater worthy in many of the action sequences. But I won't sugarcoat it entirely because this definitely has issues like any film. The pacing, as mentioned, can drag, and although it didn't really distract me overall from the runtime of the film or the pacing of the film overall, you can definitely feel it. And that's something that I think you're going to have to slog through in order to get to some of the more memorable sequences of the film. The ending is also particularly rushed and definitely different. It doesn't really end in a concrete resolution. It really kind of leaves it up in the open, and it feels rushed considerably. It doesn't feel like they're wrapping everything up in due time. It kind of feels like this is a ton of movie to be thrown at you in an hour and 45 minutes. They need to wrap it up in the last 10 minutes, and they do so in the easiest way they can even think of. I really wish the ending would have been more fleshed out, more well thought out. I think kind of revising it would have been smart here, but overall, it doesn't really distract from the film overall. It's still a serviceable enough ending, but I definitely think it's going to be divisive for many people watching, and I'm curious to know what your thoughts about it are in the comments below. And overall, it definitely is a streaming movie in terms of storyline. It's not doing anything new, it's not doing anything fresh, but it is taking the generic context of an action heist buddy comedy and turning it into something that really works in the end, due in part to the actors alone. Their charisma is just so off the charts, the writing is so sharp, and it's definitely such a memorable action film to see this year. Streaming movies are always a mixed bag. Sometimes you know what you're getting, and sometimes you don't really know what you're getting, and you go in and you're disappointed. I'm pleased to say this is one of the times when a streaming movie really kind of truly exemplifies that it really is a cinematic experience, that streaming movies can be cinematic experiences. This is by far one of the best streaming movies out this year, like currently, and I highly recommend if you have Apple TV Plus, and even if you don't, like just start a free trial, watch it, and like see what else Apple TV Plus has to offer, because it is a phenomenal streaming service and this is a phenomenal addition to it. That's why I'm giving The Instigators a 70 out of 100. The Instigators is now streaming on Apple TV Plus everywhere. Thank you guys so much for watching another movie review. If you're new around here, please do not forget to click that subscribe button down below, like the video, and comment down below and turn on push notifications to be notified whenever new videos drop on my channel. With that being said, until next time, this is Mitchell signing off. Peace out.